Could you lower those signs, please? I have some very sad news for all of you, and that is that Martin Luther King was shot and was killed tonight in Memphis, Tennessee. Martin Luther King dedicated his life to love and to justice between fellow human beings. He died in the cause of that effort.
Martin Luther King Jr. was shot and killed in Memphis, Tennessee on April 4th, 1968. He was only 39. Martin Luther was standing on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel when he was struck by a bullet in the neck. The death of Martin Luther sent shockwaves around the world. Martin Luther faced lots of criticism with his approach to gaining equality by avoiding violence, but he ultimately did what he wanted by starting everyone in the right direction. King widened his appeal beyond his own race, speaking out publicly against the Vietnam War and working to form a coalition of poor Americans, black and white alike, to address such issues as poverty and unemployment. In the spring of 1968, while preparing for a planned march to Washington to lobby Congress on behalf of the poor, King and other SCLC members were called to Memphis, Tennessee to support a sanitation workers' strike. On the night of April 3rd, King gave a speech at the Mason Temple Church in Memphis. In his speech, King seemed to foreshadow his own untimely passing, or at least to strike a particularly reflective note, and with these now historic words: "I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we, as people, will get to the promised land. And I am happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord." Just after 6 p.m. the following day, King was shot while standing outside his motel. He was rushed to a hospital where he was pronounced dead about an hour later, at the age of 39. Shock and distress over the news of King's death sparked rioting in more than 100 cities around the country, including burning and looting. Amid a wave of national mourning, President Lyndon B. Johnson urged Americans to reject the blind violence that had killed King, whom he had called the apostle of nonviolence. He also called on Congress to speedily pass the civil rights legislation then entering the House of Representatives for debate, calling it a fitting legacy to King and his life's work. On April 11th, Johnson signed the Fair Housing Act, a major piece of civil rights legislation. On June 8th, authorities apprehended the suspect in King's murder, a small-time criminal named James Earl Ray, at London's Heathrow Airport. Witnesses had seen him running from a boarding house near the Lorraine Motel carrying a bundle. Prosecutors said he fired the fatal bullet from a bathroom in the building. Authorities found Ray's fingerprints on the rifle used to kill King, a scope, and a pair of binoculars. On March 10, 1969, Ray pleaded guilty to King's murder and was sentenced to 99 years in prison. No testimony was heard in his trial. Shortly afterwards, however, Ray recanted his confession, claiming he was the victim of a conspiracy. Ray later found sympathy in an unlikely place, members of King's family, including his son Dexter, who publicly met with Ray in 1977 and began arguing for a reopening of his case. Though the U.S. government conducted several investigations into the trial, each time confirming Ray's guilt as the sole assassin, controversy still surrounds the assassination. At the time of Ray's death in 1998, King's widow Coretta Scott King, who in the weeks after her husband's death had courageously continued the campaign to aid the striking Memphis sanitation workers and carried on his mission of social change through nonviolent means, publicly lamented that America will never have the benefit of Mr. Ray's trial, which would have produced new revelations about the assassination, as well as established the facts concerning Mr. Ray's innocence. Martin Luther King Jr. is known for his fight against the civil rights movement. His never-ending pursuit of equality proved to millions that he was a force to be reckoned with. Many remember him for his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. Those words echoed through a crowd of thousands, powerful words that cut like a knife into each and every person's ears.
So even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.